It is my pleasure to introduce to you our keynote speaker of the night, although Colt McCoy really doesn't need any introduction. We all know him well, and many of you have met him already tonight. He grew up right here in the Lone Star State, played for his father Brad at Jim Ned High School in Tuscola, and then it was on, as we all know, to the University of Texas. While in Austin, became the winningest quarterback in NCAA football history. In particular, enjoyed a special senior season, leading the Longhorns to the BCS championship game, along the way picking up the O'Brien, Maxwell, and Walter Camp Awards. Twice he was a Heisman Trophy finalist, and when his career at Texas was over, his number 12 jersey was quickly retired. This is not his first visit to the Sun City. How many of you were in the Sun Bowl back in 2008 when the Longhorns paid the Miners a visit? That was not a bad day at all. It was a pretty good game for 3 quarters. However, the return to Memorial Stadium, as I painfully remember, in 2009 was one long afternoon for the UTEP Miners. He went on to be selected in the third round of the 2010 NFL Draft, and hopefully will continue to have the opportunity to lead the Cleveland Browns to the upper echelon of the NFL. How about a big El Paso welcome for Texas native Colt McCoy.
Too bad I have to go last. I should have gone first. There's been a lot of great speakers in front of me already. So I got big shoes to fill. You're exactly right. Last time I was here, we were playing UTEP in 2008. And it's a long time ago. I've had a few concussions since then. But what I do remember is it was a late game. We started at like 9 or 10 o'clock, and we got home at like 4 in the morning. But it was fun. We really enjoyed that game. I want to say thanks to Jeff Wright. He's in the audience today for picking me up from the airport and taking me to grab a quick lunch. And also thank Derwood and Wade. You guys are great, and FCA in El Paso. I'm thrilled to be here. And also thank you to the donors of the tables, the sponsors, for putting this banquet on. FCA has been huge for me, and I know it's really thriving in this area. Congrats to Vanya and George, 2 amazing athletes, 2 amazing students. Vanya, I love what you said. Sorrow looks back, fear looks around, and faith looks up. That's pretty special. I'm not sure if y'all caught that, but that really hit home for me. And George, good luck at UT next year, man. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. You know, I always tell people I grew up in West Texas, but where I grew up was like 7 hours from here. So when I tell people, I'm like, yeah, I'm from West Texas. West Texas is big. It is big. But it shows you how big the state is. Funny story about El Paso. One of my good buddies since I've gotten to the NFL, his name is Toby Gerhardt, and he played for Stanford, and they played the Sun Bowl here a few years ago. I think they ended up getting beat by Oklahoma. Is that right? Okay. Well, so transition to the draft, Toby and I, somehow we signed with the same agent in football, and so we are shipped off. I'm doing rehab on my shoulder. I'm not able to go through the combine and things like that, but my doctor is in California, and the agent that Toby signed with is in California, so we ended up getting an apartment together there, and one afternoon, it was funny, we were going to go grab some dinner, and he goes, hey dude, check out these boots I got. He goes, they're little cheesies. I said, what? I said, I know what the cases are, I don't know what the cheesies are. He goes, yeah, I played in El Paso one time, I went and got me some little cheesies. it's kind of like your role at the end of the season to kind of appreciate your offensive lineman. You give them a gift, you give them something that is meaningful. A lot of guys give them watches or TVs or four-wheelers or something, and I was trying to think of something unique, so I got them all a pair of custom Casey boots, and they love them. That was great. They wear them all the time. I don't know but couldn't think of a better gift. It's pretty sweet. But tonight, again, I'm so thankful to be here. It's so cool for me to come and speak to athletes, because at one point I was in your shoes. I think this message will really help tonight. It's something that I've been thinking about, something I've been praying about, and it's something that I've tried to wrap my mind around. It's really helped me a lot, especially over this last offseason. But as athletes, we are all alike in some sort of fashion. We love to compete. We work hard. There's just something about us as athletes that I think we share a common thing there. But what FCA means to me: integrity, serving, teamwork, excellence. Those are 4 words that are really hard to wrap your mind around, really hard to really live out each day. I started FCA in the 6th grade, where I went to school. It was a really small school, but I was blessed with great friends. We had 25 guys in my high school class, and it was just a blast. I would not trade it for anything else, but all 25 of us were at the same school from 6th grade till we graduated, and we were really close. And we started doing FCA in 6th grade, and that carried on from 7th grade to 8th grade and on into high school. And I tell you, the key part of FCA for me was the huddle leaders, was the coaches. The huddle leaders at our school were also our coaches, and so we were constantly around men and women who really lived out their faith and were able to do that through FCA and through coaching us and through competing. And FCA just taught me and impacted me in so many ways. It allowed me to make friends that I was able to keep accountable to all through high school. Friends who try to live and do the same things that I did every day. I was also blessed with a great family. My family is incredible. My dad was my high school coach. My mom, we moved 4 or 5 times. My mom was my PE teacher, my health teacher, my math teacher, science teacher, the only teacher that ever sent me to the principal. So my family's pretty close. And I'm also close with my grandparents. And my grandma told me right before I went to college, she said, by the way, she has like a direct phone line up to heaven every time she prays. It's amazing. But she told me when I went to school, she said, you need to have a group like you had in FCA. You need to find somebody at UT that you can be accountable to, that you can trust, that you can lean on, that share and believe the same things that you do. And she was right. And lo and behold, when I got to college, FCA was where I found that. And had afforded me the opportunity. Through FCA, I went to Fields of Faith. I went to leadership camps in college. We didn't have a team chaplain at UT. So it was kind of student-led and athlete-led. And it was actually, had been there for a while, but it was kind of low and slow. But I tell you what, God blessed me with so many friends and teammates from a football team, but also student athletes from other sports that would come, and we would meet together every week, and we did that for 5 years, and it was one of the biggest blessings that I've ever had, and some of my closest friends were made through FCA. And it not only helped me with my walk with Christ, but what FCA, what really sticks out to me about FCA was it allowed me and it taught me to compete in my sport in a way that was pleasing to God. And I'll expand on that a little bit more. But tonight, if I was to ask you if you could quote Philippians 4:13, raise your hand, everyone, if you can quote Philippians 4:13. That's about what I thought. Philippians 4:13, one of the most quoted verses in the Bible, one of my favorites, has been for a long time. It says, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. And what I want to do tonight is look at the context of this verse and what Paul is saying. I think we can really dig into this and really talk about this. So, what I want you to do tonight is think of something right now, just think of something that in life that you're discontent with. Discontent with being, it could be your job, it could be your family, it could be relationships, whatever it is. Meaning, discontent is, if this changed, then I would be happy. For me, if the Browns went 12-4 instead of 4-12, I'm pretty happy. I'm discontent with that. For the athlete in this room, it could be not scoring enough points. It could be losing too many games. It could be putting too much pressure on yourself at crucial times. Maybe not making good enough grades. I'll tell you what's discontent for me is losing. I struggle with losing. I cannot stand losing. And I'm discontent with that. In football, I throw a couple touchdowns in the game, or if I throw 5 or 6, I'm much more content. I think big all the time. I love to play golf. I don't do it enough, but in the offseason I get to play. Well, I hate par 3s because I've never made a hole one. I'm discontent with that. I get up there and I can make this. I've never done it. Someday maybe. But I'm discontent with that. There's actually a book in the Bible where the whole point of this book in the Old Testament is talking about our discontent in life. And that basically everything is useless. The book is Ecclesiastes, and I encourage you, if you've never read the book of Ecclesiastes, to dig into that a little bit. But Solomon, the wisest man in the world, says that everything that happens under the sun is meaningless. Chapter 1, it says, everything that has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. Chapter 2 says, all pleasures, meaning all the things that we pursue more than we pursue Jesus, are meaningless. Chapter 3 says, wisdom and working and toiling are meaningless. Chapter 5 says, riches are meaningless. And Solomon says over 50 times that everything in this life is meaningless. But the last verse in Ecclesiastes says this, the only thing that has purpose is to fear God and keep His commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Funny story, when I went to UT, when I first got there as a freshman, we'd go to summer school, and I had the smallest recruiting class ever to come through UT. There was 13 of us, and 11 of us graduated. But we go through there, and you kind of get to meet the coaches, meet some of the older guys on the team, some of the players. They're walking you through, meet your academic advisors, kind of get your class schedule. And then kind of the last part of this whole process is kind of walk in the locker room, they show you where your locker is, and you're just like, oh my goodness, I'm a locker. And you meet the equipment manager, and you start trying on your helmet, you get your shoulder pads, and you kind of get to go in this. The equipment room is like the size of this room, right? Because it's just everything burnt orange, everything UT. So as a freshman, I'm just in awe of everything. But the last thing you do is you pick your jersey number. So that's kind of the final deal. So I get in there, I'm like the last guy. I really wasn't recruited heavily. I wasn't rated on rivals, so I was just kind of there at UC. And so Chip is our equipment manager, one of my greatest friends in the world now. He goes, Colt. He said, what jersey are you going to wear? I said, well, I'd like to wear 4. So I wore 4 in high school. He goes, can't have that. It's taken. He said, Lima Sweet has that number. He said, you got enough money to pay him for that jersey. I said, okay. I said, well, let's go with 11. He goes, it's open, but you can't wear that. Major Applewhite wore that number. He goes, you can't wear that number. I'm like, okay. And so we ended up going back and forth all these jerseys and ended up 12. And I was not content with 12. I was like, 12? Where's 12? I don't like 12. I want to be 4. I want to be 11. Anyways, it worked out. But at the time, I was kind of mad. And so just think about that thing you are discontent in. Think about what it is in your life, in your walk right now that you wish would change so that you could be a little more content, a little happier. Ecclesiastes is saying, nothing under this sun can satisfy your longing. Not sex, not power, not work, not winning, nothing.